Well, hello and welcome. My name's Mandy from Mandy Sorts It Out, and I sort out various aspects of my life on this channel. But today I'm sorting out finance and my spending. I have a budget of £18,000 per year, and I do a weekly review to see how well I'm sticking to that budget. This is for the third week in September, from the 15th to the 21st. And this week I've spent £200.45. So let's go through it. Firstly, I should tell you that I focus on certain discretionary spending: my food, petrol, incidentals, toiletries and cleaning, and phone, and I call those my monthly spends. And everything else I call an annual spend. And it's not that I spend certain things annually. For instance, my rent goes out monthly and I put that in my annual. It's that I only think about it on an annual basis or a biannual basis. I don't think about it on a monthly basis. I don't consider my council tax on a monthly basis. I might have a good think about it on a yearly basis, but not on a monthly basis. But everything that comes into my monthlies, my monthly spending that I focus on, has to be considered with every expenditure. I have to weigh up the benefits and the cons and the price with every time I spend money on those things. So that's why those things are ring fenced and looked at closer than everything else, because everything else doesn't need the same attention. So my spending this week, £200.45, £80.95 of that was from my monthly. I spent £97 on my council tax, which comes out of my housing budget. I spent £42.74 on food. Now that is massive for me, but I'll just go through it. Tuesday I spent £11.07 on food at Tesco. I've gone through that in my food video. On Tuesday I also spent £4.80 on a sandwich at a service station because I'd forgotten to have dinner and I hadn't had very much for lunch. I always do a shop at the end of my drive as well. I realised that I was heading for disaster if I didn't have something to eat. So I picked up a chicken and avocado sandwich from a Waitrose at a service station. It's a lot more than I would normally spend on a sandwich, but a chicken and avocado sandwich is a bit of a treat. Well, I say that, but all I could taste was like a lemony mayonnaise. I couldn't taste the avocado or the chicken. So it always seems to be that when I do spend a little bit of extra money on something, I don't get the benefit I'm expecting from it, which is a little bit sad. And then last night I did an Asda shop for £26.87. Now, had I done it this morning, it would come in this week's expenses, and it may be that I don't need to do another shop this week. So it wouldn't seem too bad. But on top of the spending already last week, it looks bad. But I had to do it. The cupboards and the fridge and the freezer were all looking rather bare. So it needed to be done. And I will go through what I got in my food video this week. I also spent £26.34 on petrol. I filled the car up when I was visiting family for the return trip. And I also spent £22.50 on a donation. That was because I've had a friend who's had cancer this year and her son was doing a fundraiser for cancer research, and I thought it was a very good cause and I wanted to support him. In my shop in Asda, I also spent £6.87 on toiletries and cleaning and £5 on clothes. I bought this top, and I bought this top because I'd been thinking that all my long sleeve tops seem really dark, and I don't like wearing dark clothes particularly. So I was thinking I need to go and get some more tops, and this was a fiver. I thought, how can you go wrong with a top for a fiver? Brand new. I didn't have any income last week, but I did make an adjustment to my income. What happened was I suddenly realised that I hadn't renewed my landlord's insurance for the house I rent out overseas, which is where I get my income from. which was a bit of a panic because it ended on the 31st of August. And I checked all my emails. I hadn't had a renewal from the insurers. So I contacted them in a bit of a panic because at the beginning of August, I had taken a sum of money for that insurance out of my rent so that I didn't add my rent in here and then take the insurance off later, because it's not one of these expenses. It's an expense that relates to my income. So it should come off my income before my income gets looked at here, in my view. As my rent comes in at the beginning of the month, and this insurance wasn't due to the middle of the month, I had taken last year's payment, added 10% and taken that off. Because I'd done that, to my mind, I dealt with the insurance, if you know what I mean. So I contacted the insurance company and said I didn't have a renewal, and obviously I'm not insured, and panic. And they confirmed to me that the underwriter would extend my insurance till the 21st of September to give me time to renew my insurance. So that was okay. Panic over, calm down, and I have now paid that insurance. And when I looked at the figures again, I had put away £15.33 more than the insurance actually cost. So I have put in an income adjustment of £15.33 to add to my income. So let's look at how I'm doing for August. So in August, I had income of £1,517.82. And as you'll see, I've overspent in two of my budgets. I've overspent £22.36 on petrol and £2.25 on phone. And next week that will increase by £5 because my £5 phone charge goes through. So that will be £7.25. I'm going to pop up here what an overspend looks like on the app that I use. I went through the app last week, I think, and showed everybody the app that I use. I am in no way related to anybody who's developed this ad. I don't get any kickback from the app, but I just really like the app, and I think it's really handy for monitoring various budgets. And it's on my phone, I can take it with me, whereas my paperwork here stays at home. When I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I have overspent on food. Now, last week, I was about halfway through the month and I'd spent under half the budget. And this week, it's an awful lot more than half the budget. I think that's because of the petrol cost, but it's also the food cost. Now, if my shop last night does carry me through until next week, then that's not too bad. You know, looking at this, I've got £40.27 to get me to the end of the month. If I've got all of next week covered, that's only 3 days. So I could be all right. I can't tell at this point. I can't really tell. But these are the figures as they are at the moment. Let's look at how I'm doing at my yearly budget. So my yearly budget is from the 1st of May 2025 to the 30th of April 2026. It's for 17,789 pence. I think I get roughly 18,000 in a year. There is some room there to increase that spending plan, and I have been thinking about increasing my phone spending in the monthlies, because if I phone overseas, that doesn't come out of my unlimited minutes. However, I phoned somebody overseas who had just been hospitalised and I wanted to see how they were, and I phoned them on their mobile, and that did not come out of my phone credit. That came out of my plan, which was a surprise to me because I phoned them on an overseas number. It was a mobile number, but it was overseas. But maybe if I phone mobiles, it's going to come out of my plan. It didn't with Tesco, but maybe it does with Asda. Now that would be a real plus if I could phone people and it come out of my plan, my 3 minutes. I would be very happy about that. But I am thinking about adding another few pounds to my phone budget so that I can make calls overseas as I need to without feeling this is putting me into an overspend situation. But for my year, my income is £7,359.04, and my spending is £6,647.62. So I've got £711.42 in my sinking fund towards all my remaining expenditure for the rest of the year, which is good. I would prefer it to be more. As I said last week, I was hoping by now it would be a little bit more. But then again, I think the idea of this plan is that I end the year with zero. I would like to end the year with some money in the sinking fund, but the plan is to stick to this budget and stick to my expenditure. It isn't really to save money because I think it's a tight budget. Having £711.42 in my sinking fund isn't bad. As I've said before, I'm going to do a big investigation into how I'm doing at the 6-month mark, which is at the end of October. The only thing that I think at the moment I'm kind of overspending on is donations, because I'm not at the 6-month mark and I've spent over 50% of the donations. But there is room to add more money to that budget. So maybe that's okay. What else have I got? My visits budget might be in trouble because I think I've got at least 2 visits coming up. I've got 2 different times when friends are visiting me, and I also have a potential other visit that I really hope will happen. So it'll be a bit of a squeeze, I think, to include all the additional expenditure out of that £242.19, because it does mean extra spending on food, it does mean extra spending on petrol, and sometimes admittance fees if we go somewhere. But other than that, I think it's all going okay. It's not easy to tell in the middle of it sometimes. Now, I wanted to talk about some other matters. I've got a list of them in my planning book. So I have actually fixed the problem with the Wi-Fi in the car, and it was such an easy fix. I feel really stupid, but I'm just really glad it's happened. As regular viewers will know, I have a dash cam in my car and it is Wi-Fi, and if I want to see the pictures that it's been recording, I need to link to it on the Wi-Fi. And I was having problems with this because whenever I got in the car, my phone would attach to the Wi-Fi with the dash cam and the mobile data wouldn't work. And because it's not real Wi-Fi, it's just a Wi-Fi link with the dash cam and the phone, it doesn't do anything else. This would mean my maps wasn't current, it wasn't live. So I'd be going down roads and not knowing about roadworks or whatever. It wouldn't guide me down the best route. So when I got in the car, I would turn the Wi-Fi off and just have mobile data on when I was driving so that the maps would be giving me the best routes. But then sometimes when I got to the location, especially if it was family and I was staying there a few days, because I would normally automatically connect to their Wi-Fi, I would just get out the car, go in the house, carry on with my business. And last month, I went through all of my data in my monthly plan in a few days because I didn't turn on the Wi-Fi setting once I arrived. I'd switched it off to drive and I didn't switch it on at the end of the drive. And I kept thinking, how can I deal with this? Is there a way I can turn the Wi-Fi off on that dash cam? And I couldn't think of a way. And then I was sitting in the car looking at it, thinking about it when I did a trip when I was staying with family. And I suddenly thought, hold on a minute. I'm pretty sure I can disconnect my phone from that Wi-Fi. So I looked at my phone settings and yes, I can turn off auto connect to that Wi-Fi in the car. So I turned that off and it's brilliant. I can now use my mobile data. I can leave my Wi-Fi on. It's not trying to connect to the dash cam. So I'm getting the mobile data. My maps is current. If I need to connect to the dash cam to review some footage, I can just connect to it manually, and then I can disconnect that and it'll auto connect to whatever Wi-Fi I'm with. So I'm really I'm really pleased. It's exactly what I needed and what I wanted, and such a simple fix. It literally took me a second to do it, and I couldn't believe I hadn't realised I could do that before. But anyway, it's now fixed, so I shouldn't have that situation again. My Wi-Fi should be switched on all the time. So that's a plus, and I'm very happy about that. And that's why I had an additional £5 charge this month, because I had to buy more mobile data. Then I've been worrying about my water bill. My monthly fee for my water is £18.31, and that was agreed with the water company when I moved in, after they asked me a few questions about my usage. And I was a bit worried it wouldn't be enough, but they said I had to find the water meter and check the water meter and give them a reading, and they'd tell me how I was doing. Well, I'm in a flat. There's a lot of water meters, and they're all on the back of the flats on the roadside. I didn't really want to be standing at the side of a road, getting mucky, because sometimes these things are underwater, and having to open up and check out loads of water meters. I thought I might be challenged as to what I was doing, and I just thought, it's too embarrassing. I don't want to do that. They said that the first bill would be coming through in August, but I didn't get anything in August. So I've contacted them and asked them about my bill. The girl did want to call me straight away. So I've now got my water bill, which is quite interesting. I've never had a water bill like this. In Bristol, you just got told how much water you'd used. And it was the same when I lived overseas. But this one, it splits it between my water. There's a charge for wastewater, which is a percentage charge of my water charge. Then there's the standing charge, which, yeah, I did have that in my previous bills. Then there's surface water drainage charge, which is apparently the water that's come off the roof of this property. And as I'm in a flat, a 3-floor flat, I presume that's split between people on the 3 floors, although the flat underneath me's been empty for 2 years. So I don't know if that means I'm paying half of the cost of what they estimate the surface water drainage to be, because there's only 2 flats that are paying it, or if I'd still be paying a third, and they don't take account of the fact that there's an empty property below me. By the way, it isn't empty anymore, or at least it's got furniture in it now. I haven't actually seen anybody using it. The lights aren't on at night, but it has got furniture in it now, and I am hoping that somebody does live there in the winter, because it'll obviously affect my heating costs if there's somebody in that property. And the last fee is highway drainage. Everybody's charged towards highway drainage. My water was £30.74, but the bill was £106.52. But over the time I've been paying, I've paid £108.42. So there was £1.90 still sitting with the water company. This gives me a little bit of pause for thought, because in August and September I haven't been home a great deal of the time. I've been with family, and I would normally be with family now, but I've been feeling off colour. As regular viewers will know, that I sometimes get fatigue, which I wouldn't call it chronic fatigue, because chronic fatigue is daily, and mine isn't daily. Mine comes and goes. And I've been very lucky. I haven't had any since about mid-July. In fact, I was hoping it had gone. I was really hoping it had gone. But this week, I've woken up with the usual symptoms, sort of flu-y feelings. So I decided that driving 2.5–3 hours to family down south wasn't a very good idea, because one of the things I get with this is I get brain fog, and I have had a couple of close calls in the car when I've just not been on top of my game driving, when I've had fatigue. And although it doesn't feel quite as bad as I've had it before, I don't want to get it to get bad, so I think taking a quiet week is a good plan. I still didn't feel it was safe driving. Where was I with the water? Okay, so I've been going down to family and spending like 3 days of my week there. So obviously that's affected my water usage. So I think had I not been doing that, I would have found that I would have not had enough money with the water company to cover my bill. Also, I've paid my water this month for the whole month, but the bill came out in the middle of the month and it nearly took away every penny I had. So that kind of shows you that if the bill had come a couple of weeks later, I probably wouldn't have had enough to pay it either. So I think I'm probably underpaying the water company, but I don't know that I can change the standing order. I think I might need to contact them to change it. And I don't know if I'm going to do that because I'm not sure how much longer I'll be staying in this flat. I'm thinking maybe to the spring, and that may be when my next bill comes through. And I think it'd probably be best to clear any shortfall at the same time as I close down the bill. So I'll just keep it in mind that the money I'm paying towards the water may not be enough for the bill next time it comes out. So I went to Asda shopping last night. I was looking at my rewards app this morning and thinking I do not understand the Asda rewards app. There is absolutely no rewards on there at the moment. And I don't really understand how it works. At times there seems like a scale, like you get in Lidl. If you spend various bits, you will get savings. At times it's like there's products that if you buy them, you will get savings. And at the moment there doesn't seem to be anything. But it seems to change all the time with Asda. And I don't really understand it. It's like they didn't have a reward system when I was there yesterday. Yeah, I don't understand it at all. Thank you very much for getting to the end of the video. I do appreciate everybody who watches. I hope you enjoy my videos and find them interesting. It's certainly keeping me on track, which is what I need. And I value having this time every week to review my budgets. Other people's thoughts are always welcome as well. And I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Thanks. Bye.